My ex left me for a wealthy man, claimed she upgraded, and now she wants to come back after he dumped her with nothing. But this time, I'm not the same guy she left. I, 33M, have always considered myself a pretty laid-back guy. I don't start fights. I don't get caught up in drama. I just mind my own business, do my work, and try to keep things simple. At least, I did before my ex, Amanda, 32F, decided to turn my life into a goddamn circus. We'd been together for 4 years, Amanda and I, and for most of that time, I thought we were happy. At least I was. We weren't living some dream life, but we were doing all right. A decent apartment, stable jobs, even some vague plans to get married in the future. I'm not going to say I was perfect. I've never been the type of guy to buy surprise flowers or plan big romantic gestures, but I took care of her. I showed up. I thought that was enough. Apparently, it wasn't. Everything started to shift when Amanda started going to these work events, networking parties, corporate dinners. She worked in marketing, and suddenly she was rubbing shoulders with these big-time business guys. One guy in particular, Daniel, 40M, who she'd casually mentioned over dinner one night. He's got his own company, she'd said, twirling her fork around like it was no big deal. He's insanely rich. You should see the car he drives. I didn't think much of it then. Who cares if some guy's got money? I didn't see the threat, didn't even clock the red flags. I just went back to my plate of spaghetti and let the conversation roll on. That was my first mistake, assuming we were solid, that she wasn't the type to be swayed by something as stupid as cash. But soon after, I started noticing changes. She'd stay late at work more often. When she was home, she was glued to her phone, always smirking at something she wouldn't share with me. I'd ask, and she'd brush it off. Oh, it's just work stuff, nothing to worry about. But I wasn't an idiot. I could feel it, something was off. Then one night, I caught her talking to him. I don't even know why I bothered sneaking up on her, but there she was, lying on the couch, whispering into the phone with that same smirk. My stomach dropped. Amanda, who the hell are you talking to? She froze, then gave me this look like she was caught, but not sorry. It's Daniel. Just chatting. No big deal. Just chatting. I repeated, my voice sharper than I'd intended. Why the hell are you whispering if it's no big deal? She sat up, looking me dead in the eye, and said it straight. He treats me like a queen. I deserve better than this. My heart stopped. Better than what? Better than this, she said, gesturing around the apartment like it was some kind of dump. Better than you. I couldn't even process it. 1 minute we were just another couple, and the next, she was telling me that I was the problem. That I was holding her back from the life she thought she deserved. She told me she was tired of scraping by, tired of our average, normal life. Daniel had money, and suddenly that made him better than me. She called it an upgrade, as if I was some old car she was trading in for a newer model. She left that night, packed her stuff into a suitcase, and walked out the door without so much as a second look. I was numb, just watching it all happen, too stunned to even react. For months, I couldn't get my head around it. I kept replaying our conversations, thinking maybe there were signs I'd missed, things I could have done differently. But the truth was simple. She wanted money, luxury, all the shit that Daniel could give her. And I couldn't. I wasn't the guy who could whisk her off to Paris or buy her diamond bracelets. I was just the guy who loved her. Eventually, I moved on. I picked up the pieces, got my life back together. I went to therapy, hit the gym, worked on myself. It was hard, but I got there. I started dating again, nothing serious. Just enough to remind myself that there were other people out there, people who weren't as selfish and shallow as Amanda. Life was good. Then, about a month ago, she reached out. It was a DM of all things. Not even a phone call. Just a casual, hey, have you been? I miss you. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, just block her and move on. But the other part, the curious part, needed to know why. Why was she suddenly missing me now, after 2 years? So, against my better judgment, I responded. What do you want? Her response came quick. Too quick. She told me how Daniel had dumped her. Apparently, after 2 years of living the high life, he'd kicked her to the curb. Turns out, rich guys like Daniel don't stick with one woman for long. He'd moved on to some younger model, leaving Amanda with nothing. No job, no savings, no place to live. She said she was devastated, that she couldn't believe he'd done this to her. Honestly, I couldn't believe it either. I couldn't believe she was coming back to me after everything she'd done. But the real kicker? She didn't even apologize. She didn't say, "I'm sorry I left you." No, her message was more like, "Daniel screwed me over, and now I need you." Like I was supposed to just forget how she'd walked out on me and pick up the pieces for her. I agreed to meet up with her, mostly because I needed closure. I wasn't planning on taking her back, but I wanted to see her face, hear her excuses in person. We met at a coffee shop, a place we used to go when we were still together. When she walked in, I barely recognized her. She looked worn out, like the stress of it all had aged her. She smiled at me like we were old friends catching up, but I didn't smile back. "Amanda," I said, sitting down, "why are you here?" She blinked, a little taken aback by my tone, but she recovered quickly. "I've been thinking a lot about us, and—" "No," I cut her off. "Why are you really here?" She hesitated for a second, but then the mask slipped. She sighed like she was tired of pretending. "I need a place to stay. Just for a little while. I'm figuring things out, but in the meantime, I thought maybe we could, try again. Pick up where we left off." I laughed. I actually laughed, right there in the middle of the coffee shop. "Are you serious? You want to try again? After you left me for some rich asshole and told me I wasn't good enough." Her face flushed. I was confused back then. I didn't know what I wanted, but now I do. I want us. I know I made a mistake, and I cut her off again. "You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. You chose him over me because you thought money was more important than what we had. And now that he's done with you, you're crawling back like nothing happened." She frowned, clearly getting frustrated. "I'm not crawling back. I'm just saying we had something good, and maybe we could have it again." "You want a place to crash," I said bluntly. "That's all this is. You're homeless and broke, and you think I'm still the guy who's gonna bail you out." Her eyes narrowed. "You're being really unfair right now. I thought we meant more to each other than that." I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. "Yeah, well, I thought you weren't the type to sell out for a paycheck, but here we are." She glared at me, her jaw clenched. I deserved better than what he did to me. And there it was. That entitlement again. The same attitude that had driven her to leave me in the first place. She thought she deserved better. Always. "I'm not your safety net, Amanda," I said, standing up to leave. "You made your bed. Now lie in it." I walked out, feeling lighter than I had in months, maybe years. But of course, she wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The next day, I woke up to a dozen missed calls and texts from Amanda. She was furious. I hadn't heard a peep from her in 2 years, but now, after I told her to get lost, she was blowing up my phone like we were still a couple. Her texts were all over the place. First, it was more of the same pleading. "I'm sorry, can we talk?" I didn't mean what I said, I was just hurt. But when I didn't respond, she switched tactics. Suddenly, she was angry. "You're being such a jerk. I can't believe you just abandoned me when I need you most. You'll regret this." "Regret what?" "Regret not letting her move back into my apartment, so she could sponge off me while she figured out her next move?" "Yeah, right." I ignored her. But then the real fun began. She started showing up at my regular spots, like my gym, my favorite coffee shop, even the bar I go to with my friends. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but then I started noticing how deliberate it was. She'd show up, all dolled up, acting like it was fate. Like we'd just run into each other by chance. The first time was at the gym. I was in the middle of a set when I saw her in the mirror, walking straight toward me. She wasn't even dressed to work out. She was in tight jeans and a low-cut top, totally out of place. I pulled off my headphones, already annoyed. "Amanda, what the hell are you doing here?" She flashed me this fake, innocent smile. "Oh hey, didn't expect to see you here." "Cut the crap. You don't even work out." She shrugged, not even trying to hide it anymore. "I just wanted to talk." "I told you, we're done talking. You can't keep ignoring me," she said, crossing her arms like she had the right to demand anything from me. "I think you owe me a real conversation." I laughed, shaking my head. "Oh, you? After everything you pulled? You've got to be kidding." Her face hardened. "I made a mistake. People make mistakes, but you're acting like I'm some kind of villain." I was confused, okay? But we had something real, and you can't just throw that away. I put my headphones back on, shaking my head. "I'm not throwing anything away. You did that when you walked out. Now leave me the hell alone." She stormed off, probably hoping I'd run after her, but I didn't. I finished my workout, ignoring the stares from other people in the gym. This wasn't the first time Amanda had tried to make a scene, and I had a feeling it wouldn't be the last. And I was right. A few days later, she showed up at the bar I go to with my friends. But this time, she wasn't alone. She walked in arm with some random guy, clearly trying to make a statement. I spotted them the second they walked in. Amanda practically hanging off this dude, laughing loudly, looking over at me every few seconds like she wanted me to notice. My friends noticed too. One of them, Jake, leaned over and said, "Isn't that your ex? What the hell is she doing here?" I sighed. Yeah, she's been pulling this crap for a while now. Just ignore her. But of course, Amanda couldn't let it go. After about 20 minutes of her little performance, she strutted over to our table, dragging her new guy behind her like he was some kind of trophy. Well, she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Fancy seeing you here." I looked up at her, unimpressed. "What do you want, Amanda?" Her smile faltered for a second. Then she tightened her grip on her date's arm. "Oh, nothing. Just thought I'd say hi. This is Kevin, by the way. My boyfriend." Kevin looked uncomfortable as hell, like he hadn't signed up for whatever this was. I almost felt bad for the guy. "Congrats," I said deadpan. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm trying to enjoy a drink with my friends." Amanda's smile disappeared entirely. "You don't have to be such an asshole, you know. I was just being polite." I leaned back in my chair, staring her down. "No, you weren't. You were trying to make a scene." Again, her face flushed with anger. "You're unbelievable. I could say the same about you," I shot back. "Now, unless you want to embarrass yourself even more, I suggest you leave." She glared at me for a second longer, then grabbed Kevin's arm and stormed off, dragging him toward the door. I let out a long breath, shaking my head. Jake, trying to lighten the mood, chuckled and said, "Dude, your ex is crazy." "You have no idea," I muttered, downing the rest of my drink. But as much as I tried to brush it off, I couldn't shake the feeling that Amanda wasn't done yet. The next stunt she pulled was the most ridiculous by far. I came home from work one day to find a box on my doorstep. At first, I thought it was just a delivery, maybe something I'd ordered online and forgotten about. But when I picked it up, I realized there was no shipping label. Just a plain cardboard box with my name scribbled on it in marker. I brought it inside and opened it up, and my heart sank. Inside were old photos of us. Pictures from our time together, vacations we'd taken, stupid little selfies from when we were happy. Mixed in with the photos were a few other things, some of her old clothes, a couple of trinkets she must have left behind when she moved out. And on top of it all was a note, written in her handwriting. We had something special. Don't throw it away. It was manipulative as hell. She was trying to use our past to guilt me into taking her back, like those memories somehow gave her the right to just waltz back into my life. I felt a mix of anger and disgust. She wasn't just playing games. She was trying to rewrite history, pretending like she hadn't been the one to walk out, like she hadn't left me for a life of luxury with some rich guy. I didn't even bother responding. I threw the whole box in the trash and blocked her number. Again. But Amanda, being Amanda, wasn't about to let a little thing like getting blocked stop her. The final straw came when she showed up at my office. I was in the middle of a meeting when the receptionist called to say there was someone in the lobby asking for me. "Who is it?" I asked, already feeling a pit form in my stomach. "She says her name's Amanda. She won't leave until she talks to you." I groaned, pinching the bridge of my nose. "Tell her I'm busy. She needs to leave." "I tried," the receptionist said, sounding a little panicked. "But she's making a scene." Of course she was. I excused myself from the meeting and went down to the lobby. Sure enough, there she was, standing there with her arms crossed, glaring at the receptionist like it was her fault I wasn't rushing to greet her. "Amanda," I said through gritted teeth, "you need to leave. Now." She turned to me, her face flushed with anger. "I'm not leaving until we talk. We've talked. There's nothing left to say." She scoffed. "You can't just shut me out like this. After everything we went through." I cut her off. "You left me. You chose someone else. You don't get to come back whenever it's convenient for you." "I made a mistake," she snapped, her voice rising. "I thought I wanted more, but I realized I just want us back." I shook my head, keeping my voice low so the whole office didn't hear. "Amanda, you don't want me back. You just don't want to be alone. You're not in love with me. You're in love with the idea of not being homeless and broke. Her face twisted with rage. You're a fucking coward, she hissed. You're too scared to give us another chance. No, I said calmly. I'm too smart to fall for your bullshit again. She stood there, fuming, for what felt like an eternity. But finally, she turned and stormed out, muttering something under her breath that I didn't bother trying to hear. I stood there for a moment, watching her go, feeling a strange mix of relief and exhaustion. It was over. Finally, it was over. In the weeks that followed, I didn't hear from her again. No more texts, no more showing up at my regular spots, no more boxes of memories on my doorstep. It was like she'd finally realized that I wasn't going to be her safety net, her backup plan. Maybe she found someone else to latch onto, or maybe she just gave up. Either way, I didn't care. I was done with her. Completely, utterly done. Looking back on it now, I realize how toxic the whole relationship was, how much of myself I'd sacrificed trying to make it work with someone who never really appreciated me. Amanda was never in it for me. She was in it for what I could give her, for the stability, the comfort. And when she found someone who could give her more, she didn't hesitate to ditch me. But that's not my problem anymore. She made her choice, and now she has to live with it. As for me, I'm finally free. Free from her manipulation, her entitlement, her never-ending drama. And I'll tell you what, it feels damn good.